In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look at the storminess happening around the nation over the next 2 weeks, as well as the upcoming temperature pattern. We will discuss the tropics a little bit, but of course, we know by now that there isn't really an immediate threat to the United States as far as tropical activity. Although we're still relatively early on in the hurricane season, there is still some time to go, but we're in good shape so far through this hurricane season. We're going to have to see what happens over the next month or so. But for now, not a whole lot to discuss other than these crazy hurricanes out there that are in tandem. And you probably won't see this again for a very long time, especially this close to the United States. This level of interaction happening between two major tropical cyclones. So I wanted to just acknowledge this and document this for the channel first things first. Just crazy what we've seen happen with these two systems, Hurricane Humberto and Hurricane Imelda. Both are about category 1 right now. And what's actually crazy, we know that obviously Humberto got up to category 5. By the time we're reaching this point, about 5 p.m., this will actually be 2 p.m. tomorrow. My bad. That's the current time of this outlook. So 2 p.m. on October 1st, tomorrow. This one will be a category 2 and Humberto will only be a category 1. So we're actually going to see Imelda be the stronger storm very shortly. And actually, if we look right now, Imelda is actually 5 miles per hour faster as far as sustained wind speed currently. So it already is the dominant storm of the two, which is pretty crazy considering where we were like 2 days ago. You wouldn't have expected this, but here we are. So I wanted to zoom in and just show you guys, because this is really cool stuff. Again, you're not going to see this for a long time, but just watch the interaction between some of the clouds as it just clashes. And we see, interactions. They're kind of colliding. And then in other times, we see it kind of sliding underneath, depending on which clouds are higher up and stuff. So this is just a crazy sight. And I had this thought, like, imagine what the waves are like in the middle, in between this, where you got the two just shoving waves and energy at each other. It's just got to be insane in there, in between. Not too far from my local area in Norfolk, Virginia, a Carnival cruise ship just left the other day. If any of you were on that ship, that would first off be crazy, so let us know in the comments. But they were supposed to go to the Bahamas, but you can't go. I'll turn it in white. This is just a really interesting thought, and then I promise we'll get back on topic. But you can't go straight down the coast like they typically would, obviously, because you're going straight through Imelda. You can't go in between because, again, that interaction is going to create crazy conditions. And then, obviously, that's just too far, first off, to get to the Bahamas, and you're still dealing with Humberto. So they actually didn't cancel the ship. They took it up to Canada, which is pretty crazy. I think the night before they embarked on their ship, it got announced that it was going to go up to Canada instead of the Bahamas. That's pretty crazy. People probably had bathing suits and shorts and tank tops, and next thing you know, they're going to Canada. At least they still got to go on a cruise, but this is just goes to show kind of the craziness of the situation there. It's unavoidable for any ship trying to move down from the east coast of the United States down into the Caribbean or into Central America or South America. You got to go around or wait. It's just absolutely insane out there. So let's go ahead and move on and talk about the upcoming pattern as a whole. For the most part, non-tropical. So we're just going to be going over the entire lower 48 here. Here we are taking a look at the final 30-day previous temperatures for the entire 30 days of September. So this is approximately what we're going to land with at the end of September, and it was a race against time to see if we were going to see cooler temperatures in the east or not. Hold on by the end of it, and sure enough, we've still got whites, so that's about average, if not below average, for most of the Ohio Valley, southern mid-Atlantic, southeast, and even some areas like Kentucky and Tennessee here, where there's some blues around. And we're talking like 1 to 2 degrees below normal on the entire month for these areas, which is decent, actually. That's actually pretty decently below average, but this is for pretty small locations. It's clear to see that the east was actually the cooler half of the nation on paper by the end of September for the entire month, and we dealt with a lot of warmth in the west and central states, mostly the northwest here. And then kind of up and down the plains regions here, we ended up with a warmer month. And we actually ended up with a cooler to neutral month for the Southwest as well. So I just wanted to show you that. By tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the one-day outlook for the first day of October and kind of expanding it from there. So we like to review things as they happen, as well as talking about what's upcoming. So I just wanted to kind of go over that. Let's take a look here at this European model. Of course, we're going to watch this tropical activity kind of just move away. Imelda is already moving eastward, northeastward, maybe eastward, something like that. So that one is out of here. And then we're going to end up back in a dry pattern. And I hate to say that. This is by Friday the 3rd. We still see nothing going on in the east unless you're in the deep, deep, deep southeast. We do see a low by the time we're reaching like Saturday, Sunday here of the upcoming weekend, almost a week from now. And this develops around the northern plains, and we do have a lot of precipitation behind it. I suppose this might be something that we stick with here for the next 6 months, but we should move over to the precipitation type because we can see that snow will be falling likely throughout some of the higher elevations of the Rockies in Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado by this point. So pretty interesting there. As we keep going towards Sunday, this one moves all the way up here to between the Hudson Bay and Great Lakes, which is a pretty significant area. If you've been watching the channel, I mention this all the time, but it likes to develop a cold front swinging in. Oftentimes we can see warmth shoving its way up the west coast, which we do see a little bit of at this point. And this could be an omen for cooler temperatures moving into the east. So let's see what happens. By the 6th here, we see a little bit of a, I would say, low to medium precipitation cold front set up over a lot of the plains, Midwest, and Great Lakes here. Also, some showery activity for the deeper south and up the southeast coast there. Again, Monday the 6th. And then by Tuesday here on the 7th, we see that cooler front there, maybe a little bit stationary by this point, again, for the plains, Midwest, Ohio Valley, interior Northeast there as well, set up. And it's pretty clear by this point we have a ridge in the west, trough in the east. It's not severe, but that is what we're dealing with in a very, very mild version of it. So that low between the Hudson Bay and Great Lakes stays undefeated for cooler temperatures moving into the east. Just wanted to point that out. We briefly go back into a warmer pattern after that. This is by Thursday the 9th. And what we're dealing with is a little bit of a ridge along the immediate west coast, but a trough is trying to set up over the northern Rockies. And then again, a little bit warmer and milder over the east than it was during that like 6th, 7th time frame. But we could see some snowfall here for areas of Montana and Idaho again. That is a cooler air mass for sure. By Friday, we see that low dips down into Nebraska, Kansas area here. It's a messy, messy low. We have overall high precipitation just all around it. So it's hard to break down the frontal boundaries. It's not super, super dynamic yet by that point. But as we head overnight, it becomes a little bit clearer. We have the low here between Iowa and Minnesota now for Saturday morning on the 11th. A little bit of a warm front, cold front. The cold front is a little bit more defined than the warm front, but we're starting to kind of see the dynamics there. Also, it's worth noting off the southeast, this model is maybe calling for a potential tropical area to watch. Could be more of a nor'easter type system. Just depends on the conditions as we get closer to this. This is around 10 days out, but this model is indicating the chance of something developing there off the southeast. Keep that in mind. Things get interesting. We see a weaker low between the Hudson Bay and Great Lakes. And again, undefeated. We see a stronger low behind it for south central Canada with a clear defined cold front, warm front look here. So we have high precipitation along this cold front. We also have some snowfall for Colorado there. We certainly have a warming west coast, and it looks like this trough is going to swing into the east. So let's watch what happens as we kind of just move through. It doesn't really invade into the eastern states, especially the far southern ones. It kind of just skirts across the north central states and then into the northeastern states. But still, by the time we're reaching like the 14th here, it's pretty clear we have a bit of a ridge that is dying over the west, but it is there. Trough in the central states and still hasn't arrived for the eastern states. But we have a mega frontal boundary here along the east, so some showery, rainy activity could be anticipated with that. Total precipitation, we do see higher amounts with areas getting impacted by some tropics and just kind of repetitive storms in the deep south and southeast. Other than that, we're looking more at the northern states and particularly the north central and northwestern states for higher precipitation. Unfortunately for the deep south, And then areas of the mid-Atlantic, it is very dry over the next 2 weeks according to this model. So let's look at the anomalies. And sure enough, again, the north central states dealing with pretty highly above average precipitation, and also a little bit of a smaller region here for Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. But very dry for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, D.C., Delaware, New Jersey, New York State, and then all the New England states. Everywhere is pretty much below average over the next 2 weeks in these areas. So we're very fortunate that we did see some precipitation, because it might be another long wait until we see any more, at least to a considerable degree. So really interesting there. Temperatures, as we just play it out, we get this backdoor cold front that is on the way for over the next 48 hours. It's going to dive in from kind of like the northeast down the east coast. This is classic backdoor cold front activity. It's very different than your standard cool down. This is going to be more exclusive for your eastern states. So this is by Wednesday the 1st, tomorrow afternoon. So we see, again, mid-Atlantic, parts of the Carolinas and Virginia there, as well as New England, of course, seeing cooler temperatures. But as soon as you move into the deep south, Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, it's warmer than normal, and especially into the northern plains and upper Midwest, where we're highly above normal. The reason why we're not getting any huge cool downs is we actually have a negative PNA, which just means colder temperatures over the west there set up. And that just doesn't allow for cooler temperatures for the entire central and eastern states. It really it holds things back, and it actually encourages the warmth like we're seeing here to take place. As we keep going on this European model, we do see the east stays cooler until about the 4th, 5th. Then we do get a cold front that does bring neutral to below normal temperatures, especially, again, like we mentioned, in the northern areas. This is about Thursday the 9th. As we keep going, we do get another one of those towards the end, and this one's a little bit more substantial, but it still doesn't seem like it's far stretching enough to reach towards these Gulf states or anything. They stay a bit warmer, and that one's just moving in as we get to the end of the model run. The west does still look cooler, so I don't think this would be anything huge or anything sustained if it looked this way, which is at hours 360. So there's plenty of time for the fine details to change a lot, but we have 2 indications of some pretty big cooldowns after our backdoor cold front. So if you count that, 3. But as far as big cold fronts impacting a lot of the central and eastern states, we have 2 of those in the upcoming pattern according to the European model, which is certainly promising, especially if that starts to look more intense as time goes on. The GFS model, again, backdoor cold front, warm up. We get the cold front right around this one comes in around the 7th, 8th, 9th, so a little later, but it's more impactful for the mid-Atlantic and northeast. And we kind of just stay cooler straight through the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. We get more cooler air moving into the east until the end of the model run, where we do warm up in the east. But it does appear like we're warming along the west coast, and this cooler air might be on the move eastward. That's kind of how I see this here. So both models look pretty promising for some potential cooler air moving in as we reach, again, towards the 5th, 6th, 7th for the first one, and then maybe as we're approaching the midway point of the month for the second one. But we're going to have to watch this daily with you guys, keep you guys up to date. So be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.